This video is going to help you with screens 1 to 6 on the Introducing Domain and Range Desmos activity. So domain, we know that these are going to be all of the inputs or all of the X values. This says drag one of the blue points to fix the shaded region so that it covers the entire graph with the smallest interval. So basically they just want us to line up the endpoints here. And you know you did it correctly when you get some kind of feedback that says you did. Now our next question says, what X values did you use to cover the entire graph? So I see we're in between -3 and 6 for the X values. So I want to pick the option that's in between -3 and 6. Same thing here. You're going to drag the lines to match with the endpoints of the graph and then select what the domain is. Same thing here as well. This one's a little bit different because as you can see, this is an arrow. So when we do this one, we're going to start at -1 and then it's going to go on until infinity. So we definitely want to pick that option when we're writing out the domain here. Notice how we're writing them as an inequality using inequality signs. This one is a little bit different. So I'm going to drag my two lines, but when we have an open endpoint, we can see this dashed line. That's going to show us that we're only going to use greater than or less than signs. Just like with an inequality graph, if it's solid, it adds that or equal to. And if there are spaces in between the line, it's strictly going to be either greater than or less than. This one here, we actually have an arrow on both ends of our graphs. So it's just going to go on forever and ever and ever in both directions. And we know that that is all real numbers because it never stops. You can also write it as -infinity to infinity. And then finally on screen 6, this one's going to be our first time typing an inequality to represent the domain. So I need to find the X value, which is here at -1. It's an it's a closed endpoint. So I know it's going to be strictly either greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. And I see that all of these numbers on the x-axis are greater than or equal to -1. So that's what we're going to type for our domain there.